We are making picks and talking about the release of statement games coming up in just a second. Welcome in. I'm Joel Worth with Statement Games. I've got Marc Salina with me, the founder and head of Statement Games. We are here for the Making Picks podcast. We're going to talk about Statement Games, what it is, how you can join, how you can have some fun with the platform. And we're going to make some picks for the upcoming Thursday night game to start the NFL season. Marc, how you doing? Thanks for being being on the show tonight. How's everything going?
Different. This is probably like the first show that we've done. I think this YouTube account has probably been dormant for a little over 2 years now. So
Okay.
It's good to be back. I'm kind of excited. I mean, we'll get into it in a little bit, but there's so much more that needs to be done from a company perspective, but we've made a lot of progress in trying to get back into the batter's box, so to speak, and take another swing at this alternative fantasy gaming genre, so to speak, and see if we can, make some waves and make a name for ourselves in the same process.
Awesome. So yeah, you've kind of shown me around, and I've signed up for the demo version of Statement Games. I think it's a very cool platform. So just want to give you this platform to talk about kind of the history of the game, how it started, the genesis, and what you've got planned for the rollout.
Yeah, sure. So this is all stuff that we've talked about a really long time ago, but just as like a little bit of a refresher, the whole Statement Games concept, it's a family originated concept. So my father actually really came up with this game back kind of in the early 90s. So full disclosure, in the Salino household, you were basically raised, my brother and I, to do a couple of different things. We could have committed murder and gotten away with it, or got full support from my father in terms of, anything legally he would have supported us on. However, if you did not root for the New York Giants, the New York Yankees, the New York Rangers, or the New York Knicks, you basically were causing some type of like holy war within the household. So that upbringing, it kind of backfired on my dad like a little bit, because every single year we used to make this trip up to Boston, Massachusetts. I had an aunt and uncle who lived up there, and that's where we just went for Thanksgiving. So on Thanksgiving Day, Dad wants to watch the football games with his sons, and my brother and I, we want no part of it. We start pushing back on my dad, like, Dad, the Giants don't play till Sunday. Like, why are we watching this, Lions game or Cowboys game? We'd rather be outside throwing a football, kind of going around, or jumping through leaves, or whatever it is. So literally, to get us interested in other things besides the Knicks, the Rangers, the Giants, and the Yankees, he came up with this game. And I would say back in 19, I'm sorry, probably back in like 2000, kind of 20, I wind up getting a patent on the gaming technology, which we'll showcase like in a little bit. But it's just a little bit of a game. It's got a little bit of a different twist. It follows a fantasy football format. The game itself is always going to be around individual sporting events. And the whole concept is, let's kind of analyze a game, make some picks from a gaming perspective as well as from a prop perspective, organize those picks into a little bit of a team framework, and have those picks compete against other family members, in my particular case, or in the platform's case, other enthusiastic fans.
Right on. I think that's awesome. I love hearing about the history and the family background like that.
I think the plan is that we'll try and do this, or I guess we're committed to doing this pretty much for every Thursday night game. So I'm sure as we get deeper into the season, you'll start helping me reflect on little tidbits of, I guess, gaming history that's taken place, and how the stories have been incorporated into the product that we're showcasing today, and hopefully in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, I know you're talking about Thanksgiving. Like our Thanksgiving dinners were always planned around the games, the afternoon games. So I know how that goes. So I I do want to bring up. I'm going to bring up the platform real quick so we can
Sure.
just talk through it and show people what it looks like. Let me get this into a frame that makes some sense. There we go.
Oh wow, that
All
actually
right.
looks really good. You did a much better job than I would have come up with done. I mean,
I
uh,
was a
no,
professional. I've done this many times. So I've got the contest for tomorrow night's game between the Eagles and the Cowboys to open up the season. So if you just want to kind of talk through what's going on, I'll kind of move around as we need to and kind of show everyone the
sure.
platform.
So I guess we're jumping a step ahead. So assuming that people have been successfully been able to log in and join this
Let's
contest.
go
Oh, there
back to
you
the
go.
lobby and
There you go.
there we
So
go.
you're in the
Let's start from the
lobby.
start.
Yeah. So it starts kind of in the lobby, and keep in mind we are trying things out. We're trying to bring this platform back into the forefront. So there's been a lot of debugging. It's still extremely kind of buggy, but we've made significant strides and significant improvements over the past kind of couple of weeks, months, and years for that matter. But ultimately, this is a free to play game. At this particular time, people are playing for fun, and people who want to play, hopefully, they'd be willing to do so in an effort to push some buttons, get a feel of what the product is all about, and hopefully give us some feedback on what they like, what they don't like, and help us to evolve this. But you can see in this lobby right here, we have all of the football games listed. So this is the week one kind of slate. So the first
Yep.
thing that you actually want to go ahead and do is join a contest that you're interested in playing in. Of course, for the purpose of this show, we're a little locked into the Dallas Cowboys versus Philadelphia Eagles Thursday night football
Yep.
game. I mean, are we allowed to say that that's on? Is it on Amazon? Or is
No,
it
that's an
on,
NBC game. Yeah,
it's an
the first
NBC
game is
game?
an NBC. Yep.
Okay. None of those guys are sponsors of the show, although I wish they were. But maybe
That'd
at
be
some point
nice.
in the future, we'll kind
Sponsorship
of.
opportunities are available.
So you join a contest. You can actually see once you've actually joined, you're being presented with a list of props. The props or the picks, as you scroll down like a little bit, are broken down into various categories. You have game picks. You have props around specifically the quarterback position, the running back position, the wide receivers, the tight ends. You'll see some obvious flaws with the defense from a perspective of it's not populated yet. So
It's not there
if
yet.
people are watching and say, hey, there's no defensive picks or there's no ID picks over here. What's going on? You're like, we're trying. We're making kind of improvements. But
We're
um,
evolving.
yeah, and you'll also kind of see some other subtle little flaws. I mean, I'll call out some of the flaws within platform as well, and where you might actually see some second string kind of players that really don't have any real relevance to the outcome of a game. So we're working to correct some of those issues. But basically, you take a look at this list and you start to think about picks that you think are going to become true. And as you can kind of see, when you lock in on a pick and you hit that plus button, or right to the right of the pick would actually move from the left hand side of the screen over to the right hand side of the screen. Now you got to pick 10 of them. Now,
Yep.
when you kind of select that pick and it's over in that right hand box, you can drag and drop it into the number slot that you want to lock that pick into. So keep in mind that these picks are weighted. So ultimately, once you've made your 10 picks, as this contest plays out, if your number 10 pick becomes correct, you're going to get 10 points. If 9 through 1 are incorrect, you just have a total of 10 out of 55 kind of points. Ultimately, you're going to be playing in a league of anywhere between 8 to 12 people, but it really doesn't matter. You can be playing against 2 people, and if you find yourself that you're the only one kind of in the contest, you might actually see that the system will auto generate some kind of virtual reality bots so that you have somebody that kind of you play against.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Basically, there's never going to be an instance in where games get canceled or you don't have an opportunity to play against somebody or something. Um, but ultimately, the person or the individual with the most points from correct picks at the end of this specific sporting event wins. Now, as we kind of evolve over here, we'll do a better job in populating a monthly leaderboard and we'll start to incentivize that leaderboard with some cool prizes, experiences, and incentives from our partners like IDP Plus, Big Guy Fantasy Sports, and maybe even the Fantasy Football Expo. They didn't say that either. Maybe they should, but
Expo very close to my heart because I live right here in Canton. So one of my favorite events and one of my favorite weekends of the year. So yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, would love any kind of promo to get. So we'll have to talk to Bob about that. But yeah, I think this is very cool. Just kind of going through, and obviously, I think like you mentioned the lesser known or the lesser lower roster players like Will Greer under 245 passing yards. That seems like kind of a given, but that's kind of a bug that we'll be working out.
We're not intending to populate second string kind of quarterbacks,
Right.
but it's week one. Odds can be like a little funky. So with any particular market that we create, we try and do our best to make sure that there's anywhere between, I'd say, 55 to almost 70 props that people have to kind of choose from. So sometimes when the system is finding that the available odds for certain players are a little light, it will start to stretch out into the second string kind of portions of the rosters, which is what it shouldn't do. But the system will improve. It will get smarter as we progress throughout the year.
Yeah, and like you do your showdown slates for DFS on your FanDuel, your DraftKings, stuff like that. Those lesser known players they're going to play an important role, but here in this format, it probably shouldn't be. You need to include some of those lesser known players just from a salary cap basis, but here we really don't want to be including some of those players. So that's something that'll get worked out. But I'm just kind of going through, just making a couple picks here just to kind of demonstrate how this works. And then I'll just.
And as you go through this, if you made your 10 kind of picks, just don't forget to hit save. You have to hit kind of save.
I was just going to get there. And then let me make one more here. All right, so I've made my 10 picks. I'm going to save.
Now, when you kind of hit save, if you go to the My Standings section, you're always going to be able to see the contest that you've already kind of joined. The most recent one that you've actually joined will be first, will be kind of at your forefront. But here you're actually kind of, you have an opportunity to see who you're playing against. I'll point out a couple of different things over here. I don't want to, I can geek out over this stuff kind of all day. But once the game starts, you kind of see like the zeros next to the scores next to kind of your username.
Yep.
When the game starts, you can click that zero, and you'll be able to see the picks that your competitors have actually made. You can't see them now because the game hasn't actually started. This way, you have full disclosure on. All right, I've made my picks, but are these people real? Who did they actually pick? You can actually see the selections that they've actually kind of went ahead and made, and you could edit your selections pretty much up until about like 1 minute before the. Before actual kickoff. So just because you've joined the contest now, and you might kind of find that I don't know, it's a couple hours before game time, and one of the selections that you've made is not necessarily one that you're grown fancy kind of. You can change it and modify it at any particular time.
Or you have a late scratch or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I just did that, so I can go back in, and then I'll just resave. It says it's been, that little box in the corner says it's been saved successfully, and we're good to go. So once the game locks at kickoff, then that's when I'll be able to see my opponent's picks.
Correct.
Awesome.
We kind of make sure that you don't have the ability to see the picks, just to kind of protect the integrity of the game.
For sure. Yeah, you don't want to make. Then I could just make. Dupe 9 of the 10 or something like that. And just,
if you're
one pick that I was really sure of. So you don't want to be able to do that. But yeah, I think it's very cool that you can see their picks once the game is locked, and then now you know exactly what you're competing against.
And the biggest improvement that we've actually made, that's been the vein of my existence for the past couple of years, is as close to real-time scoring as we can possibly get. So once a contest is over, you'll see that this game is finalized from a scoring perspective within, I'd say, no more than 10 minutes after a game has been completed. So
Okay.
it's pretty quick in comparison to previous versions of statement games.
Yeah, I think that's as good as you're going to find in the industry. Is even on the main DFS platforms, it's 20 minutes, half an hour until they actually kind of close the contest. So yeah, that's
Exactly.
that's absolutely industry standard right there. So very cool. Anything else you want to show or demonstrate about the platform? And again, I think I want to stress that you're really kind of competing against yourself more than anything, right? Because it's a confidence game, and you need to make the right picks, and you need to put them in the right confidence order to score.
Correct. It's almost like it's kind of like golf, you know. I mean, you're competing against other players, but for the most part, you're competing against yourself in the course, you know.
Exactly, exactly. All right, so that is kind of an overview of the game. You can go to demo.statementgames.com, sign up, get your account going, and start making your picks for tomorrow night. Speaking of, Mark, let's make a few picks for tomorrow night. The Eagles and the Cowboys, the traditional Super Bowl winners home game Thursday night opener. Give me a couple picks for tomorrow night that you like.
I mean, is it possible that we can get both teams to lose? Is that an option? So,
The Giants fan coming out.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Let's. All right, maybe we'll save kind of rants for future shows, kind of down the line. But a couple of things. I mean, do you want me to just go ahead and fire kind of two off the hip, or do you
Sure.
want me to make one and then you make one, or
Yeah,
do you
yeah. Or
want me
let's do
to?
that. Yeah, you make one, I'll make one. We'll alternate.
Okay, so this is not necessarily because I actually think they have a chance to. First of all, like I have no idea who can kind of win or lose this game. However, from a week one perspective, and you and I got into this like a little bit the other day before, which is I just always like taking all of the underdogs in kind of week one. I think it's very hard to figure out who's playing well. I still think it's preseason for all that, hype and things like that. So it's hard to really understand who's in form and who's kind of not in form. So anytime you actually have a divisional game and where the two opponents from a historical perspective know one another really well. Now I know that last year Philadelphia won the two matchups against Dallas by a combined, like, I don't know, I think they won like 75 to, I think they won by like, a very wide kind of margin. I can pull up the numbers at some point kind of down the line and tweet it out. I get
Like
all that stuff over
34-7
here.
and 41 to
Yeah,
7.
exactly. But week one, divisional game, historically, these organizations know one another fairly kind of well. I get it. Dallas has a new coaching staff and all that stuff as well. But um, that being kind of said, I just from a divisional game perspective, I'll take the points all day long. So give me the Philadelphia Eagles will not win by more than 6.5 kind of points. That would be the first pick that I would gravitate towards automatically.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's always a good idea in week one just to take the points because we don't know what we don't know, like you said. So the one thing I know is there's points available to be taken, and I think you're never going to go broke by taking the points in week one.
I agree. That's why I took it.
Exactly. All right, so I'm going to start out. Normally, in like these division games, I like to go back, like you said, and see what happened last year. But it really doesn't work that well for these two teams because, like last year, the two quarterbacks who are going to be starting this game only played in one of the two games. Right? It's Dak Prescott missed the first one when he was injured, and then Jalen Hurts missed the second one because he had a concussion late in the season. So you had Hurts against Cooper Rush in the first game, and then I think it was Kenny Pickett and whoever the backup was because they had
Yeah,
Pickett
the
hurt.
backup to the
Another
backup.
Rush game, yeah. Uh, so yeah, it's really tough to glean kind of anything from what happened last year because those games were just kind of so wonky, like you said. So I'm going to go with what the Cowboys have told us from the Micah Parsons trade. They've got Matt Eberflus as their new defensive coordinator. Eberflus likes to stop the run first with his interior defenders. That's why they traded for Kenny Clark, and he likes to blitz a lot. So I think the Eagles are going to try to win this game through the air. So I'm going to take Saquon Barkley under 93.5 rushing yards because I think Dallas is really, from what we heard from Jerry Jones and what we've seen from their actions, Dallas is really focused on stopping the run. They were a complete run funnel team last year. So I think they've correctly identified that that's a weakness that they need to fix. They've identified and they need to fix. I don't know if trading Micah Parsons is the right way to go about that, but I think it is a focus for them. So I think they're going to focus on stopping the Eagles' run and make them win the game through the air. So I'm going to say Saquon Barkley under 93.5 rushing yards.
Fair enough. I actually like that. And I guess for the second selection that I would go towards is because we're coming off a pretty long layoff with Dak Prescott. His first game kind of back off of an injury. I'm expecting like a little bit of a rust. So I'm looking kind of like at that. And then if I look at it from a Philadelphia perspective, I think if there's one person that they're just not going to let them beat them, would be CeeDee Lamb. So I'm kind of like looking at it from perspective of rust from Dak Prescott, Philadelphia gravitating towards CeeDee and shutting him down. So I'm going to look towards CeeDee Lamb under 72.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, I don't mind that pick. Vic Fangio is always the master of the too high defense and keeping everything underneath. So yeah, if there is some rust from Dak Prescott, I think we could definitely see a slow game from the passing game. That's what Philly does, right? They bring waves of defenders on the front line, and then they've got those young cornerbacks and defensive backs, and they like to stop the pass. So I like that call too. For my second pick, I'm going to go Devonta Smith over 56 receiving yards. Again, I think Dallas is going to focus on stopping the run, but I think they're vulnerable on the edges. They brought in Kaiir Elam, who was pretty bad last year. They got Deron Bland, who they said is they're going to move into the slot, which means it's going to be Trayvon Diggs and Kaiir Elam on the outside on passing downs. That's a cornerback tandem I just don't trust at all. So I could see Devonta Smith going off in this game. AJ Brown, had the hamstring all training camp. Is he up to speed yet? Is he someone they want to really attack with? So I think this sets up to be a good game for Devonta Smith. And he did have a huge game in the second game. I think he went for 120 and 2 touchdowns or something like that. So I think this is a good spot for him. So I'm going to say Devonta Smith over 56 receiving yards.
Fair enough.
Right on. All right, so that's it. That's a couple picks from each of us on how we think the game is going to play out. You can come in and join us. Sign up again at demo.statementgames.com. Bring this in. You can join us. Make your picks. What do you think is going to happen tomorrow night? You got 10 opportunities to pick that game and make your statement on Statement Games.
Fair enough.
So, Marc, tell everyone where they can find you, what you got going on, and
yeah, sure. I'll be kind of like on the platform. I will be on X. The handle is just at Marc MARC Solino. You can also interact with us at Statement Games on X as well as kind of Instagram. And, we'll be pushing forward with our partnerships and integration with IDP Plus as well. So keep an eye out for some good stuff coming on that platform as well.
Awesome. Yeah. And I'm Joel Worth. You can find me at the Joel Worth on Twitter and on Blue Sky. I guess I'm probably going to have to go on Instagram now because I'm not on Instagram, but I try to stay off the Facebook ecosystem, but we need to juice the follower count there. So, but you can find me on each of those platforms. Let us know. Shoot us a DM. Shoot us a message on the socials. Let us know what you think. If you got any questions, if you got any suggestions, we'd love to hear them. But we'll be back every Thursday making picks for the Thursday night games. Thanks for joining us, and we will speak to you next week.